With the keel and transom completed, it's time to turn our attention to the stem and apron, and so the last stage of Jinnie's backbone. The old stem was fitted from a grown crook of an oak tree and, like the keel, became twisted over time. The movement has changed what centerline was originally created and likely affected the balance and stability of the boat. We'll replace both apron and stem with laminated versions made out of mahogany. This tried and tested method is going to result in much stronger and longer lasting components. The stem and apron are two separate parts, so we'll be doing the laminating process twice, using a lot of epoxy resin along the way. When Jinnie first came into the yard, one of the first things I did was to create an initial template of Jinnie's outer stem shape. From here I was able to locate where the old scarf joint started and finished, and also where the last keel bolt was. I marked off what I thought was the waterline, and also where the top of the planks come onto the rebate and into the ghost line. Lastly, I created a vertical and horizontal line from which we'll be able to generate the all-important grid pattern. And this will give us pinpoint reference marks, so we'll be able to record the rolling bevel of the rebate. Again, as with the transom, we'll use the same process to recreate the rolling bevel on our new laminated apron. With this initial stem shape, I was then able to make the next and most important template.
So on here, we've got the outside edge of that's the very front of the boat, the very front shape of the stem. We've then got what we call the rebate line. This is where the planks will end.
To make the rolling bevel of the rebate record an accurate ghost line and stem shape, we'll need to create a grid pattern. To do this, I've marked equally spaced and numbered points from top to bottom of our vertical line we made. When we extend the grid pattern across the old stem and apron, we can use this to record the bevel measurements we need to make our new ones.
And I've been able to create some part of what they call the ghost line, which is the back of the rebate. It's called ghost because you can't see it, but it's where those planks will come into. From that, I've been able to create the apron shape as well. So this is the back of the apron shape. This is what we see on the inside of the boat. So these will help us when we actually make the stem. We'll use this. I've marked a lot of other information, like where each of the plank ends comes as well, so that when we get that in there, we'll be able to mark and put the planks back in the correct place. This method of working the planks into the stem is not new. This went back to even Saxon times. If you go and look at the Saxon ship at Woodbridge, that's exactly what they're doing. They're bringing those planks in and they're cutting them into a rebate. The terminologies are the same. You've got the rebate line, the ghost line, and the bearded line. They're all the same. If I go up and talk to them at Woodbridge about it, and they're only, they're building a Saxon boat, it will be the same. Originally, this is what they call a grown crook. This is the shape of that is a piece taken out of a tree, usually an oak tree. They will go out into the forest and look at the shapes as the boughs grow out of the tree, and they're slicing that through for the strength. We will probably be doing a laminated version of that. Me going out and foraging for a big crook in a forest and telling somebody I want to chuck their oak tree down, it's probably not going to go down too well.
Back when we were getting the keel in, I showed you the scarf joint at the forward end of the keel and how we would have to blend that into the new stem and apron. Let's have a look at that again before we move on.
The forward end of the keel is scarfed, that's an angled joint, onto our stem. Some of the stem is missing up here, so we sort of second guessing how the scarf goes. Unfortunately, the front end of the stem has been worn away and has actually been planed off, so it doesn't actually, the line doesn't continue down. And because there was a difference in heights for our keel, our existing keel to the old keel didn't sort of fare in very nicely. It was sort of a bit blunt and then suddenly shot up to meet the stem. So we're gonna make that line continue down there and then continue down to our existing depth of our keel. Where I've got the keel jacked up underneath here at the forward end, I have got a little bit of pressure on my scarf joint, so I am going to adjust that. As I've jacked it up, it's come tight on the scarf joint before it's come tight with the keel to the hog. So I will have to do some relief in that scarf joint, possibly cut it back slightly and step it slightly more to get that to go up, so it allows the rest of the keel to go right up on the line. Before we look at removing the stem and apron, I'll get Noah to cut the 2 templates we need for each component.
Alan gave me a drawing of the stem, and I drew out a grid onto that drawing to then be able to get measurements from it to replicate it from that drawing that I made. I cut this shape out. This line's spot on, so then when it comes to putting it down on our drawing that we have, I can line that up and we can sort of will have a bit of play. So after I've made this and fed it down to the correct size, I'll be making another one similar to this, but for the apron. I'll have to do the same process again. So. I better get the boss to have a look over this before I go any further.
This is where the grid lines help, because we know then we're in the right position. In general, it's pretty good.
Oh, I think that's a seal of approval from Alan. I'll crack on with the apron then.
Whilst Noah is replicating the apron shape, me and Jamie will make a start at getting the stem removed.
Our next big motion is really to get this stem out. What they call the ghost line in here, where the planks go into, that is the joining, and that is our defining measurement, where everything is really going to be measured from that. So we're measuring forward of that and after that, and all our measurements are going to be taken off that ghost line. You'll see that we've painted it white. That's not because we're going to keep it or anything, but we actually want to put some lines on it. With our patterns that we've been making, we've got measurements and lines on them. We want to transfer these onto the stem when we get this out. So our next stage is to get that stem out. We are releasing some of the nails and the planks so we can spring these slightly. That's really more for when we start trying to get the apron out on the inside. But we're just sort of working the whole thing together, gradually releasing things slowly just to get it apart. The condition of this one at the moment is in a terrible state. The fastenings through it are really well gone. There are bits of it been falling out as we've been trying to take it out and release it. So we're trying to release it carefully.
Just coming to the last couple of bolts connecting the stem to the apron. We want to measure this accurately, and so we've got to be careful to try and keep the stem in one piece. It could go at any minute.
Right, what are the chances then?
Fairly high.
You got it?
Yeah.
This is looking promising.
I think it's caught on one last bolt down here, but...
Famous last words.
Hold on a second, don't
drop it.
don't move.
I just can't get the angle grinder on this. The bolt is just too far to reach, so it'll have to be a hand saw. A few moments later.
Bet you're wishing you're inside the boat now, Alan, weren't you?
Yeah, I clearly picked the wrong job.
Again, it's happened. It's nice to watch you work, though.
Well, don't get too used to it.
Yeah.
Cool. And this, folks, is why I've never ever had to buy gym membership. There's always one that's going to be trouble.
But do you remember your catchphrase? You've got to get ready to say it, haven't you?
Who dares wins. I wish I could actually see what I was trying to cut. Come on.
Life is full of challenges and this bolt is just a small one of them.
Can you just lift it up a bit? Yeah, hold on, that's good. Aha! Voila! He who dares, Jamie, he who dares.
Ooh. Look down the barrel and say it.
I think just look down the barrel. Just look down the barrel and my smile says it all.
Yeah. Grinning like a Cheshire cat.
Let's take a look at this and see how it sits on our pattern.
We're fairly much on our pattern, look. If you look at that pattern, it might be a little full there. What we'll do is probably just clean that up a little bit on the face and just test our pattern around it. But we're not a million miles away there. And I'm right on the scarf. This also sort of shows us how much we're going to be fairing this in, because the original one sort of ended in a bit of a blob, the keel round. So I want to sort of fair that all in.
Oh right, yeah.
And that's why I haven't taken the front edge of the keel off at the moment, because we want to come, that other one just sort of landed on here. We really want to get that to come right round there as a really nice shape, which obviously that can look.
Yeah, it's missing out a bit.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? We are now going to build a laminating jig onto this piece of board. What we're going to do is use some more 6x2 like this, but we're actually going to double it up. And Noah is going to cut a shape to go round where we draw this on. So if you imagine that Noah has drawn that line on there, he'll then be using these to face the outside of that. So we've got that ghost line there, and we're going to laminate our apron up to start with onto that. Yeah. Ta-da! What could possibly go wrong? With all of these jobs, there's always, there's things to think about. But the more you do them, the more you are. It's overcoming problems.
Absolutely.
Yes, if we were building this boat from new, we'd have it off the loft floor, and boy, wouldn't it be easy?
Absolutely.
But wouldn't be half the fun.
In the meantime, Noah is pressing on and making the rest of the laminating jig we need to make the apron and stem. It's a big job in itself.
Before I start making the jig, we need to make the base as strong as possible. I'm using 3 lengths of 6x2. We can then take a look at the jig pattern. I now have my base, got my base, sub-base, all fixed, nice flat surface to work from. We can now lay the original pattern down onto it. This will allow me to make a nice pencil mark all around the curve. This curve is the ghost line, which I will be making my jig to. I'm going to use some more 6x2 timber to build the jig, but I've got to overcome the issue of creating a fair curve for the front of the apron. I'll show you how I did it. I'll start from the centre of the curve and then work my way out to the top and bottom of the apron. This is kind of the centre of the curve. I've put my piece of timber in, put it somewhere where I felt comfortable, which happens to be on point number 18. The curve that I'm going to cut into the timber will finish at number 22. So I mark them 2 points, there and there. I've then flipped that over, and I want to put my pattern on there, on the same points. Number 22 will meet up with the mark I made. Number 18 meets up with that. I can then pencil in my line, which I've got there. I need to transfer this curve onto the other side. When I'm cutting, I have to be sure I'm on the mark. Copying the curve is a similar method to how Alan made the crop over the transom, so I need several reference points along our flat line, starting with the middle. So I measured in from that line to the centre of the curve on there, which was 135 mil. And at 135 mil, the curve is 17 mil deep. So on this side, I came in 135 mil. And I marked there 17 mil upwards to that mark there. I've done that at 3 different points of interest, I suppose. Now I've got all them 3. I can get a fair line that joins up all them points up, something like that. It's better when you've got 4 hands. I'll get a spare pair of hands to draw the line on this one. With that done, I can start to cut and fare out the new curve. I'll repeat this process again on either side of this piece, along the ghost line until we've reached the endpoints of our apron.
Thanks, Noah. Superb work. Join us in the next episode when we'll be doing the epic task of laminating the apron and stem. Again, working with this amount of epoxy is going to be time critical, messy, and require a big team effort. Once we've shaped and fitted them, we'll be able to finally say the backbone is complete.